Okay, so this is my tattoo that I got to commemorate me becoming a Japanese citizen. Best day of my life. If people don't want to accept me as Japanese, if they want to say, oh, you're just a Japanese citizen, you're not Japanese, that's fine. I don't care. I think Japan is my country.
What made you decide to give up your American citizenship and legally become Japanese?
I mean, I can explain pretty straightforward.
Don't want to regret it.
Life is regret. No regrets.
No regrets.
It's not for everybody. And I wouldn't tell people to do it if it's not for them. But I've found it to be a completely positive experience.
We always hear about immigrants busting down the doors trying to get U.S. citizenship. But what about Americans that give up their citizenship to join another country? Today, we will be interviewing those that did exactly that and became citizens here in Japan. This is how they did it and why. Let's get started. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Ann Cristini. I was born and raised in the state of Virginia in the U.S. I've lived in Japan for 25 years, and I am an associate professor at a university in Fukuoka. My kids and my husband and I all have different passports from where we were born, which is quite interesting.
Wow, very international. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Henry Seals. I'm originally from West Virginia in the USA. I live in Chiba, Japan. I've been in Japan. This is my 31st year here. Yeah, it's been a long time. And I am the vice president of HR for Audify, an AI quality assurance company. Well, originally, I was a Japanese language student at Harvard, and I studied there for 2 years. And then after my sophomore year, they said, you can go to Japan for, credit. So I came as an exchange student in 1994 to Kyoto, and I sort of never left.
Hi, my name is John Hayes. I am originally from Saskatchewan, Canada. I have been living in Japan now for about 34 years. I am an Ibaraki prefectural councillor, meaning a politician.
Are you the only Canadian politician in Japan or Canadian born?
Good save. Yes, I am the only Canadian born.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Chris Hart. I'm 40. I'm originally from California, and I've been here in Japan for 16 years, 12 of which has been as a J-pop artist.
So you're one of the only foreign-born J-pop stars here. You sing bilingually. Can we hear you sing a little in Japanese?
I love you, I need you, ずっと愛されたいあの頃のように.
That was amazing. Why did you decide to give up your American citizenship and legally become Japanese?
A lot of people would say to me, why are you becoming Japanese? I don't understand. What's your reason? They're like, you have an American passport, you have permanent residency. It doesn't make any sense. And for me, it's really hard to explain because, and I don't know that I actually have to, but it's just something deep within me was just like, I just really want to be Japanese. And I really want to have a Japanese passport. This is my home. And I want to live here and I want to be buried here. And I want to die as a Japanese citizen, pretty much.
That's hardcore.
Permanent residency is only permission to live in Japan, but citizenship gives you the right to be in Japan. And I realized during COVID that, do you have permission or do you have a right to be in the country? That's just something huge.
Yes, I got locked out of China for this reason. Yes, that's why I'm living in Japan. So I can understand this feeling that you have. I can understand that completely. It's a big risk.
Okay, so what made me want to become a Japanese citizen, I've been living in Japan for about 12 years at that point, and I've had family here, I've raised my children here, and I thought, well, I want to be able to vote, I want to be able to contribute, because I saw a lot of change happening and wanted to be part of the team, be on the same boat. So I thought, let me become a Japanese citizen because this is where I live. I really wasn't thinking about giving up the U.S. citizenship at the time. It was really about, what can I do for Japan because this is my new home? And never has anyone said, no, you're not really Japanese, or I don't like the fact you've done that. They may not see me as ethnically Japanese or the same as them, but you can see the impact on them when they see me and I say I became a Japanese citizen. They're like, you chose us, meaning I said, your lives matter to me. That's why I became a citizen. And it really builds bridges. And I've seen that that's benefited my career as well as my public service work.
I became a Japanese citizen in 2007, specifically so that I could enter politics. But most importantly, you are the interface between the foreigners in your community and the government. Even though I know we will not become an immigrant country like North America and much of Europe, at the same time, we do really need to at least give people the opportunity, like show them a path to how to become citizens. And so now we are trying to import labor. So you need to have policies which will help integrate these people. You can't treat them like they're just here for the temporary, for the time being, and then as soon as they've lost their use, we just kick them out. We can't do that. We've tried that, and it's been very painful.
I think what people tend to think is that there is like this, I wanted to give up my citizenship, or I hated my country, so I did it. I don't necessarily think for everyone it's related. I think some people are just like, this is just where my life is. This is just where it makes sense. So for me and my family, having the same passport was like the priority. And then after that, it was just like, oh, this is the many ways that my life is now easier by consolidating everything that I'm doing.
What brought you to Japan originally?
My middle school had a Japanese program, and my teacher suggested I do a 2-week homestay, and I just fell in love with the country. And from that point on, I was like, I just got to find a way to live in Japan. When I got to Japan, I wanted to focus on just staying here, so I worked on my, my vending machine business, and then a little bit on the music side at the same time. And by doing that, I started putting some videos on YouTube just to practice, and some TV stations saw that, called me up and said, you want to be on TV? And then a producer saw me on TV and then reached out to me, and that started my career.
When you meet Japanese people in the real world, they're kind of shocked. They're like, oh, that's mottainai when you tell them that you gave up your American citizenship, you're now Japanese. How about the online world? How does the online world react to this?
It was bad. I got for about 2 months straight. Everything I said, it was like, go home, foreigner, give back your citizenship. You'll never be Japanese. You're just a gaijin with a Japanese passport. Die, you ugly, hairy foreigner.
Whoa.
I got all these comments, and I even got a death threat.
I don't know if it makes you feel any better, but I've gotten the same thing. The Japanese trolls are actually much worse. They're worse than American trolls. That's one reason I don't do videos in Japanese in this country. I don't want a Japanese audience. I don't want to attract trolls.
Really?
Oh, they're way worse than American trolls. And we live in the same country, so they'll go looking for you and stuff. Like, they take it way too far.
For me, the harassment was almost always from the online community. The people around me, my friends, my family, my coworkers, 100% accept me and love me and support me. I'm Japanese, and I'm proud to have become Japanese, and it was the best decision I've ever made, and I'm never going to go back on it.
And when you went into the immigration office and said you wanted to change your citizenship, how did the immigration officer react?
Okay. Well, first thing, they were, let me put this, they were rude at first. Okay. They saw me come in. Yeah, exactly. Surprise, surprise. But I walk in and they were dismissive, but they said, okay, at least you came into the office. Let's get your documentation, or at least your gaijin card and everything. And, we'll interview you briefly, like get your information. When I gave them my card and they saw that it had American on it, they immediately changed. They immediately became much more, friendly, but also very, very confused. They literally asked me, you're American. Why do you want to be Japanese? And so from that step forward, or that step onwards, it was, I would think, smoother than it would be for someone from, let's say, another country, honestly. Yes.
When you walked into the prefectural government, I know you meet there a couple of weeks every few months. What was everyone's reaction when you walked in and sat down?
So initially, everyone was just kind of like, no one came up and talked to me. Right.
Oh, really?
Like I was stood by myself. I mean, there were a few people that I knew. So I already knew people at the prefectural. So these people were very friendly to me. But the other people, I'm just like a dragon with 8 heads, or I don't know, like they just didn't come near me at all. And I remember being at this one event, and it was like a China-Japan promotion event, something like that. They turn around, they look at me, no hello, no aisatsu, nothing. And they just turned around and started talking to each other again.
Whoa, that's
I
like
was whoa, cool.
sumitai.
Yeah, sumitai, exactly right. But in the end, like now they talk to me. They just needed to get used to me.
Was it because you were new or because you were foreign born?
You'll have to ask them. I can guess. You can guess. We both more or less know.
Okay.
I just won't say it.
Okay. If somebody wants to become a citizen in Japan, what are the qualifications?
The process is really, really complicated and really a huge hassle. I mean, you have to turn in at least 100 documents, maybe more. You have to write every school you've ever attended since preschool and the address. And then you have every job you ever had in your life. And then everything has to be translated into Japanese. Before I could even apply, it took 4 months just to gather all the documents. And then I applied in April of 2023. And then I had a second interview in, I think it was in October or November, end of October. And then I was accepted on November 21st of 2023.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really long, harrowing process.
When you became a Japanese citizen, you had to get rid of your American citizenship, right?
That costs money.
How much?
$3,000.
Are you kidding me?
It was then. It's probably more expensive now.
Why? What are you paying for? Just the documents?
You are paying for the chance to renounce your citizenship.
Oh,
It's
so that's
even
not.
guaranteeing the result. It's not even guaranteeing the result. You will pay $3,000 if they say, "Hey, you've got like taxes outstanding. Thanks for that $3,000. Finish your taxes and try again." It is very rare. I think America might be the only country that does that. It's not a huge thing for me. It wasn't. I don't go back to the States often, anyways. Not out of any particular political or anything like that. It's just my life is here, so I'm here.
Did Canada fine you? Because in the US, if you give up your US citizenship, you have to pay back taxes. You have to pay like $2,000 to go through the process. And I heard they put your name on a wall of shame. So how does that work in Canada?
No. You have to renounce your citizenship, and this is a document which costs $75 Canadian. So, what?
A lot cheaper than $2,000 US.
Somewhat, yes.
There's a lot of people watching right now that are trying to study Japanese abroad. They might not have the chance to live here. What's your advice for them?
Fail often, a lot, in various things. I didn't come here in the way that I thought I would. I didn't learn Japanese in the way I thought I would. I thought, I do the very common thing: go to school, study it, go to a Japanese, school, and then get into teaching, like everyone tends to do. And especially now, that's just not the case. You can do, content creation. There's a bunch of different ways to engage in Japanese, learn Japanese, and build a life in Japan. So try a lot, fail a lot, and figure out what works.
Maybe we'll do the next question in Japanese if that's okay.
Sure.
じゃあこれからの展望はどうですか？これから何しようと思ってますか？
全然イメージがない。もうやっぱり
本当？
もう基本はもう子育てメインでやってるから、今子供5人がいて、それはもう子供たちが大きくなってからちょっともう少しいろんなことを考えようかなと思うんだけど、今は音楽活動よりももう少し子育てメインでやって、裏の仕事とかプロデュースとか作曲とかそういうものとあと SNS のこともいろいろやろうと思ってるんですけど、今はバイト歌手っていうイメージで自分のことを言ってるんですけど、ちょっと失礼かもしれないけど、でも本当に今は、歌えるタイミングで歌う。それ以外は子育てをメインでやる。その後は子供たち大きくなってから、そういう、政治家っていうかそういうことも、全然あり得るかなっていう気持ちもありながら、歌手、その活動も、また盛り上がって、全力でやりたい気持ちもあるから、とりあえず、様子見て流れでいこうかなと思う。
はい、なるほどですね。ありがとうございました。じゃあちょっと英語に戻りますけど。
The English part is actually the hardest one for me.
The English is harder than Japanese for you, this part of the interview.
I have not spoken this long in English in a long time. It is, I am struggling to find the right words and not shout out something in Japanese that makes sense to me.
日本に来られない場合、どうやってうまくなれますか？
様々な方法あるんですよ。例えばもちろん、アニメ見たりとかいろいろですね、趣味ついて勉強すればいいんですけれども、今現在、AI でですね、で、自分が、例えば今、チャット GPT ですね、音声でですね、やり取りもできるわけなので、MyGPT を作って、簡単に作れるんですよ。MyGPT を作って、日本語の先生の GPT を作れば、で、それでですね、ちょっと丁寧にですね、自分のスケジュールに従って、で、勉強することができると思います。
自分は個人的には、その勉強に関しては、その本とか教科書とか、ネットの、アプリとか、何かを勉強っていう概念が非常に大切だと思うんですよね。その国に住むだけで何とか自然に吸収するっていうことをあまり私は信じないタイプなんで、そうすると自分の、発音とか、なんか文法は若干なんか変になるような気がする。 だから、まあしっかり勉強しながら、その勉強したことを実際使ってみること、友達作ったり、いろんななんか職場で使ったりすることが、まあ、すごく大切じゃないかなと私が思います。
日本語の勉強のアドバイス、一言お願いします。
もう基本的になんか聞くと知っちゃう。見ると覚えちゃう。使うとわかる。って。だからもう普通なんか漢字読めない人がやっぱり聞くしかない。でしょ。それでやっぱりニュアンスが分かれないんですよ。もしかしてなんか字が読めれば新しい言葉を見ててもなんとなく確かなんか本読みとか訓読みが分からなくてもなんか大体分かりますよ。話すより読む。読んでください。
One more thing, if people want to find you, where can they follow you?
Well, I do Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. My YouTube channel is in Japanese, but it's called An-chan no Kotoba Cafe.
All right, excellent. So check her out. She's got a lot of good content. And thank you so much for the interview. That was very, very interesting for sure.
Thank you.
And have a safe trip back to Kyushu.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming all the way to Tokyo. How can people find you if they want to follow you?
Oh, I think if they look up Henry Moreland Seals on social media, I'm the only Black one, at least. I know that for sure. You'll find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and X as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate the interview. You're one of the most qualified people I've talked to. You graduate from Harvard.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Wow, I'm impressed. I know you're busy, so thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye. If people want to listen to your music or follow you, where can they find you?
Anywhere. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Lime Music, everything.
Well, thank you so much for your time. You're one of the first celebrities that I've interviewed, so this has been really cool. It's so casual.
My pleasure. If you ever need any more celebrities, let me know. I'll hit up the other people.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. How can people contact you?
They can look at the comments down below.
Okay. He'll be in the comments section. That's excellent. And I really appreciate you doing this interview today, taking away from your busy schedule. And if anyone has questions, John is your contact. He knows a lot more about this than me. So thank you so much. Thank you. お疲れ様でした。ありがとうございました。Okay, so if you stand here, then we should be good. We're rolling. We are rolling. This is going to be fun to edit. Thank you so much for making it to the very end of today's video. If you can't get enough of these interviews, there's more yet that you may have missed on this playlist. Go check that out. Make sure you're subscribed and have the bell on so you don't miss the next one, because there are a lot more of these coming. All right, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.